Hi there, this is Neil Welch, agility coach here. Today I'm going to talk to you about athletic hip and groin pain. Now this is a really common injury in field sport athletes, and it tends to happen when we go through large change direction loads. Now understanding the mechanics behind it can actually help to change our... Hi there, this is Neil Welch, agility coach here, and I want to talk to you today about hip and groin pain in field sport athletes. That's a really common condition to pick up, and it can keep you out for really long swathes of the season. Understanding the mechanics behind it can then help motivate you to change your mechanics and reduce the risk of you picking up this injury. So hip and groin pain usually occurs because of an overload of one of or all of our abdominals, our hip flexors and our adductors, our groin muscles. Now all of these areas cross the front of the hip and pelvis, what we call our anterior plate. So when we look at changing direction and we look for things that continue to increase the load to that anterior plate, we can start to try and find things to change. So if I imagine I change direction, I turn my foot out, I feel a bit more of a stretch there now. If I move into an anterior pelvic tilt position, I also increase the load. If I then put myself in a bad position where I get some trunk sway, I'm feeling a big strain through my anterior plate. And this is me just standing still. So if you can imagine a scenario where you're performing a training session and you go through 150, 200 changes of direction and you move in these mechanics, you can start to see why hip and groin pain can develop and eventually cause an overload of these structures and keep you out for a chunk of the season. If we can start trying to explore changes in those mechanics then, so instead of being here, if I move my foot a little bit straighter, I reduce the load of my hip. If I move to more of a neutral pelvis position, again I reduce the strain load in the anterior plate. And if I get myself a little bit lower, again I feel nothing through here. So if we think back to our training session and our 150 or 200 changes of direction, if we perform them in this position instead of this position, we massively reduce the risk of picking up that injury. So what I want you to do is play around with those positions so you can start to understand the loading through the pelvis, and then start exploring some of the videos on my YouTube channel in order to be able to look at trying to change your technique, because I believe there's a big prevention element to this by practicing your change direction and agility.